Hey YouTube, Roker here, back with a Drytron deck profile for you guys. This deck just got some new support, which does just wonders for it. It's so much better with the new support. The new 2 especially is just wildly strong, makes a bunch of your combos way more explosive now. Which I will show off some combos in next week's video. But yeah, I think I'll just get into it and show you guys. First we've got the names. We've got 3 new 2, 3 alpha, 3 zeta, 2 gamma, and 1 delta. New 2 just does so much for you now. Just not having to tribute to summon is bigger than you think. It's so much more free advantage. And then searching a monster on summon is just wildly strong. Alpha and Zeta have always been the prime parts of the deck. Alpha Zeta is what the main combo was before. Now pretty much any of the names plus new 2 also is like full combo, so that's super nice. But yeah, alpha searching ritual monsters, zeta searching spells is just super important to your game plan. Gamma I play 2 because gamma is pretty good. It helps you set up your Fafnirs and just gets you a lot of recovery. And then Delta, you probably could not play Delta, but I like to have the 1 extra name just in case. And sometimes if you get around to it and you actually end up summoning Delta, you just get a free draw off of it, which is nice sometimes. But yeah, it's mostly here for an extra name. You don't play, I don't even remember what the other one's called because it's just bad. But yeah, I figured I'd have the 1 extra name and potential draw off of it just in case. But yeah, pretty compact engine there. For rituals, we are playing 1 old Draconids, 1 new Draconids, and 3 Benten. Originally, I didn't love new Draconids. I was leaning more towards the Magic-y machine monster and searching the counter trap, but doing more combos, it having 5,000 attack isn't actually much of a problem usually, because you just, with the new 2, you just make enough material that you can deal with the 1 extra tribute. And having a twice per turn monster negate is just wildly strong, especially since getting more level 1 materials with new 2 means you'll end up with more Fafnirs, so you can banish the Fafnirs instead of your other Drytrons, so you can leave those in your graveyard for recovery. And old Draconids has always been good. It's just quick effect pop 2, can't be targeted with monster effects, just super strong. And then 3 Benten. Obviously Benten has always been a staple in the deck. It is still very good in the deck. It can search other copies of itself, or it can search the other 2 combo pieces that are in here, and those lines are pretty simple to get, but here I'll just show off the things I'm playing to go with Benten. 1 Choju. This card is just phenomenal for the deck. You just tribute a Benten off a Drytron, search this, and then when you tribute summon it, you get a ritual monster and spell, so you just get so much off of the 1 card, and most of the time you will be ritual summoning a Benten first and then tributing Benten for this. So you go Chainlink 1 Choju, search a monster and a ritual spell, Chainlink 2 Benten to search a Light Fairy. So you're getting 3 searches off that chain, which is just so much advantage. And the last target for Benten is 1 Soul of Purity and Light. I have not seen other people play this card, but I found that it works out decently because it is a monster that can't be normal summoned or set, so you can summon it under the Drytrons. You just banish 2 light monsters from graveyard to summon it. So most of the time that's just 2 Bentens from your grave. And it's mostly there to facilitate the Volzar Lars. Old combos would summon Choju and then a ritual summoned Benten into Lars, but that uses up a little too much ritual spell power on summoning Benten. So this is another target. It is a somewhat Garnet, but I feel that it's worth it to get into a basically Omni-Negate with Lars, because it's just such a good endboard piece. And it is a soft Garnet, at least, because you're gonna be searching it anyway, so instead you'll just search another Benten. But yeah, that's kind of a spicy card that I like to play in here. Other things you can do with this, you could do... Technically, you could play this and then, like a rollback and the Mayakashi and just play a Beatrice. I don't think that Beatrice will be around for that much longer, so I don't think that's worth it. But you could do something funny like that. I just chose to go with Lars. But yeah, that's it for the monsters. We then play 3 Medionis, 3 Nova, and 3 Cyber Emergency. That's the last of the engine. 3 Medionis is very strange. Not many people play 3. Usually you play 2. I play 3 just because you're going to be searching 1 off Zeta and 1 off of your Choju. So it's nice to have a 3rd copy so that if you're only playing 2 and you draw 1, then you just don't get the advantage off of Zeta, because you have to leave 1 in your deck for your Choju, because Choju has to search a spell and a monster. So if you draw 1 and you're only playing 2, you have to not search off Zeta so you can search off Choju, which I felt was not worth that. And at worst case scenario, you have the Medionis for follow-up in hand, or best case, you just get an extra ritual summon of a Benten to put just a little more link material on the board. 3 Nova, 3 Emergency, pretty standard. Nova is just E-Telly, Emergency is just Rhoda. Nova got way better with New 2, because Nova for New 2, Search a Monster, is just so good. You actually get advantage off of activating Nova instead of just getting a monster and then needing a second one to do anything. You just get to search your second one. It's New 2 just totally made this deck way better. You still can play it as just what is it, Magician of Black Chaos Turbo, or whatever that ritual monster is, and just skip monster effects for a turn. I feel like this is a way better version than that. That version feels more janky than this, because this one just consistently puts up multiple interaction points, versus that one is kind of trying to make one combo to make one big interruption, which is stopping monster effects, which does not feel as great. We're just hoping that that's enough. But yeah, that is it for the engine. Now we've got 3 Nib, 3 Ash, 3 Veiler, and 3 Imperm. This is what I went with. It's kind of up to you for non-engine. I went Nibiru because I like to either main Nib or Droll for some amount of like high impact hand traps. I've said this for a long time now. If one hand trap can deal with a bunch of problems, that's better than the 1-for-1 hand traps. But the 1-for-1 hand traps are still very good, especially Imperm Veiler right now, because just stopping a monster effect and leaving a small body like a little snake eye monster is super nice, especially when you've got giant beat sticks in this deck of 4,000 and 5,000 attack. And Ash Blossom is kind of questionable with the fire decks going around, but I think it's still worth playing just because it can stop so many different things, and it never will not stop. It never will not have a target in a deck. Every deck searches at least once. So that was my non-engine that I decided to play. For extra deck, we have 3 Fafnir, Utopic Future, Draco Future, Lars. Those are the main end board pieces from the extra. Fafnir, you don't always end on a Fafnir with material because you pretty much need to go into 3 to do that, because usually if you go into 2, you use up all their material for ritual fodder and then just turn them into a Draco Future, which is very good. But then it's sometimes nice to have a spell trap negate off Fafnir so you can stop like an Evenly or something. Draco Future is super good boss monster though. Just got the nice destruction protection and monster negate and steals, which is often super nice in this format because you can they not only do they not get their effect, they lose material for their stuff, which is super nice. And then Lars, like I said, with the Soul of Purity and Light is how I usually do it. It's just a nice way to stop, again, like the spells and traps that could be stopping this deck. It's just a nice end board piece to have access to. I'm kind of surprised that Fiendsmith engine decks haven't messed around with it, because like obviously Beatrice makes you combo off to infinity, but having this as a rank 6 option versus the DDD boss monster is kind of interesting to me. That like 2 negations versus 1 negation, but if the 1 negation is an Omni versus stopping a summon effect is kind of, I would very much consider playing Lars in a Fiendsmith deck. But then the last 3 Xyz are Assembled Nightingale, Downerd, Zeus. You don't often need to make the Nightingale because you can just swing with a Fafnir, but it's there just for an option. If your opponent like has a board, but you can get 2 level 1s on board, you can just slap a Assembled Nightingale, and swing in, and then Downerd Zeus. So then you've got your 4 material Zeus, which is super nice to just have to break boards. Yeah, so that is the Xyz portion. Then for the links, we've got 1 Anima. No more Link Kuriboh, but that's whatever. Most of your guys in here are fairly large anyway, and Anima is just nice for removal. Link 2s, some of them are just kind of... You don't often Link summon in the deck unless you have just a couple extra material. So it doesn't often come up, but we've got one Dynamondo, not for bringing back on your opponent's turn really, just for going second for the removal. Herald of Mirage Light, which you can make sometimes if you want another spell trap negate, and you just happen to have a line that ends with a Ben 10 in hand. And then if it gets destroyed, it gets to search 2 monsters or spells from grave to hand, which is some really good recovery for the deck. So that one I think is the one I made most often. Cross Sheep is a decent option. Not every hand does it that well. There's definitely some hands that can do it, some hands that don't. But sometimes if you've got enough engine, you can just make this draw 2 into a couple hand traps and then discard a couple engine, because if you discard your level 1s, you can just bring them back from the graveyard anyway. So yeah, it comes up sometimes. It's, again, you don't really link summon too often. It's mostly going into your Fafnirs, and your rituals are your main boss monsters. Alina, because it's just an option to have some extra extension if you happen to need it for something. The only thing that you really would need it for would be the one Appaloosa. I did not make Appaloosa once, so the link monsters here are not really that important. These are kind of flexible on whatever you feel like playing. I think the Xyz portion is very much what you should be playing. But yeah, the link monsters are kind of hit or miss. I think you mostly summon more link monsters in the Magic Key variant, with where you don't search the counter trap, you search the Mafti, so you get you just get a bunch of extra link material, so that version usually ends in an Apo, but these are just kind of here as flex spots that are decent options to have available. So I think I'll show off the side deck then. For side, we're playing 3 Droll, 3 Bell, 3 Cosmic, 3 Talents, and 3 Evenly. Droll, super good against some decks, just ends their turn, so very good to have. Especially a lot of decks in this format are hit hard by Droll. This deck does not enjoy playing through Droll. Some hands can, some hands can't, so that is a little annoying. But that is something you just gotta deal with the deck. Ghost Bell for any graveyard decks. Cyclone for any back row decks. Talents and Evenly are most often for second. Evenly is always for going second, but Talents is most of the time. I sided it in for going second. You can also side it in just for any deck you know is playing tons of hand traps, because then if you have it, then they get one hand trap, and then you just get to steal another one out of their hand and get rid of it. So that's the main reason for Talents, is having to deal with high hand trap decks, or for going second into a board, and when they stop one thing, you get to like Talents take and just stop the rest of their board from interrupting you. So yeah, that is the deck for you guys. Super fun deck. The new cards just change it drastically from what it used to be, which was like, well, at first it was like the Herald pile, and then it was just the Dark Magician Ritual Turbo, which did not feel great. It was really clunky, but this, it makes it so much smoother with the new cards. New 2 is just wild that it can just do all that. It makes the end board so much better. But yeah, so I will show off those combos in another video for you guys. But yeah, I think this will do it for the deck profile. This is Rogue Tier, signing out.